order at 7:03 PM.
And
February.
we need to acknowledge who are, like, at my planning board, we have to identify all in attendance.
Well, I was going to
Okay.
first finish
Okay.
this. So I called the meeting to order at 7:03 PM, February 20th, 2025. The next thing I want to do is call to everyone's participation. So if everyone can go over their name.
Mark Dunn,
Crystal Jackson.
Khurshid,
Elizabeth Richard. Aishanju.
Go ahead, Pat, Joanne.
Pat Ritzmeyer.
Iris Meyer, thank you.
Joanne Godding.
Okay, we are all here. The first thing I wanted to do is the open reflections. Does anyone, Joanne and Patricia, Mark, do you guys have any open reflections for us?
Trying to dig for something positive.
I know it's been that kind of a week.
I'm glad to be here. That's my reflection. I was able to make this work.
Yes.
I'm so happy you are because you do have questions. Glad you are here so that we can go over those.
Sure.
Glad to be with all of you in this current climate.
Yes, and I'm very, very, very happy to see young blood. Pat, do you have anything? No? Okay, so then I guess we're going to review the minutes for last month. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? Yes? I'll give Mark a few minutes.
Oh, that could take an hour. Looks good to me.
Okay, so Mark says that the minutes are okay. Do we have motion?
Anyone else have any?
No, they all said they're fine with it.
Good, okay.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I would move to approve them as written.
Okay,
Do we have a second?
I second.
okay.
Thank you, Pat.
So Mark, motion to approve in Pat second. Okay,
All in favor, Dunn, aye.
Joanne.
Trying to
Oh,
do-
damn.
Pat, I.
Okay, maybe you can do the meeting tonight. How's that?
No, I'm just trying to help move things along so that we can
Yeah.
get through the
Mhm.
meat
Okay.
potatoes to get to
So
the.
everyone is okay and agrees to the minutes, correct? There's no issues, all right. So now we're going to speak on our guests. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, we have Elizabeth Letono, is that how I say that?
Ratuno, but yeah.
Latuno, okay. She is a senior at Hopkins and she's part of the DEI committee in Hopkins, correct? Okay. And then we have Aisha Anjum, is that how you pronounce it?
Anjum.
Anjum, okay. And her dad, and your name, sir?
Khurshid.
Khurshid Anjum. And she's going to discuss her immigration survey that she has compiled for immigrants and non-immigrants. And it's more of questions for the public to get their experiences and their input on the immigration status, correct?
Right.
Okay. Before we start that, we do go to old business first. So what we can do now, since we did not have a chance to do this in January, is go over Ash Hartwell's appearance. We will have to cut it very short due to our guests and giving them a chance to actually have her dad or whomever speak. So does anyone have any information regarding Ash's appearance or any feedback?
I think we would add that was
Yeah.
already expressed
Right.
in the minutes.
Pat, Joanne?
I'll just share that after he presented, I decided to join that group that he's a member of. So I
Excellent.
now, yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
When was your first meeting? Or when was your first appearance or your first interaction?
well, I came as a guest before Ash met with us. Then after he met with us, I joined. And they had a meeting yesterday, but I missed it because I'm here.
Oh, okay. So you haven't had a physical meeting yet?
Yes, I've met with them twice, once as a guest and once as a member.
You're talking about after the appearance?
Mhm.
What was your interaction with them physically after Ash's appearance, if you did have one?
I went to their next meeting.
Oh, I thought you said the next meeting you were not there. How was that meeting?
Oh, it was lovely. Yeah.
Okay. Pat, you have any information to share?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
I just want to say that everything Ash spoke about was very, very intriguing. I loved his journey and the many places he has visited in regards to his own personal journey. And I only wish him the best in everything that he continues to do. And hopefully it can be passed down to the next generation because he's worked very hard in doing what he does. Okay, so now we're going to move on to any information regarding the Econo Lodge Affordable Housing Project. Did we have any information from December for that?
I think I just shared a review. I don't think there was anything new.
Yeah,
The Affordable Housing Committee that I chair has been inactive for a month or two because we ran out of funds for support from the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. And we also had a couple people leave or resign. So we have 3 new members that I'm reaching out to, and we have approval to fund Pioneer Valley Planning Board again, Planning Commission again. So that should be starting up again in March, which is only
1 week away or something.
right. So
Okay. Does anyone have any information they may have heard through the grapevine regarding the Econo Lodge project from December? No? Okay.
I mean, what I do know is that they are working on getting their funding in place. They came and asked the town for a letter of support.
Right.
I think we did one,
Yes, we did.
and I think the select board did one as well, and that was all part of their application that they needed those to support their application to the state for grant funding.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to find out from them, if possible, what the response is going to be.
Yeah, I don't know how long
Yeah,
it takes for them to get an answer. I think most people were surprised at the estimated value of their project to convert that. Do you remember? I want to say it was like $18 million.
Oh, my goodness.
It was like, wow.
To convert the Econo Lodge,
Yeah.
$18 million.
I don't quote me on that.
But I mean, that's still
I
even around
do
that
projects
figure.
and numbers all day long, so I could be confusing, and I know there's a DPW garage that's 21 million, so I could be confusing, but whatever it was, I think I was not alone in being, wow.
Goodness gracious.
So, yeah.
Didn't expect it to be that much.
But their plans are to do it right. I mean, they were gonna have 50 units, and the 51st unit would be for a live-in manager, and there would be an office for day staff, one of which would be not a social worker, but someone that would help support anyone that needs,
Resources.
yeah.
So basically, they're going to have someone who's going to be able to assist anyone that may have lack of funds for food or health insurance of that nature.
Or have medical needs or
accommodations.
Yep, or psychological needs, whatever, they would be there to support and advise.
And this is going to be someone who's there full-time, part-time, or you're not? sure yet?
During business hours, I believe.
Full-time,
I think there's a full-time live-in manager, but then there's this other support service person,
Right.
which I think is more of the impression I got was it's like a 40-hour a
oh,
week.
that's good then.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
good, so someone wouldn't have to wait too long to get help if they
No.
had
Right,
something that they needed to,
if they were in crisis, or they
Exactly.
were just, or really less.
and also what I do know is that the vetting process is going to be very strict. They're going to do deep, intense background checks, financial, information is going to be provided.
Credit
Credit
checks, all that
scores.
kind of stuff.
Corey, exactly. So I don't think that, people should be as worried as they are about the people who are going to live there. I mean, that's the stigma on lower income, is that they're criminals or they have mental issues, and that's not right, that's not fair, and that's not true. So to debunk that would be something that is definitely a necessary factor to take and do.
Yeah.
Okay, well. Now, about the digital equity and steering, this is new business. I'm part of that, and, last month, in February, we had a meeting regarding the layout of where it is needed, the most needed portions of Hadley to receive or has not been able to receive enough broadband or clear internet or internet at all. And also the prices of what Spectrum is charging for internet for people that maybe can't afford that amount for basic internet. So we have the layout, we're looking into, working with, a third party that we're involved with to move this along, so Hadley can be part of a group that's going to receive the benefit of receiving better internet and much more wider range than it has now. And that is on the Digital Equity Steering Committee. You can watch that on YouTube if you wanted to catch up with those meetings. Yes, Joanne?
That was me. I think I had my hand
Oh,
up, Crystal.
Okay, sorry.
I would like to suggest that we're under new business now. Is that correct?
Yes.
I'd like
Yes.
to suggest that maybe we invite our guests to be the next item under new business.
Yeah, I think we've done that in the past where we can get to our business after they're here, so we
Okay.
don't keep them.
I just wanted to make sure we did cover as much as we could from December, since we're also bringing it into February's meeting. And I wanted to make sure we get that out of the way. We don't want to prolong that another month. But the next on B is something that's new that we can wait on to do.
Okay.
So we have Aisha, and Aisha, the floor is yours.
I have these handouts to hand out to everybody.
I'm sorry?
I have these handouts to hand out to everybody.
Sure. Is it the survey?
It has, information on what I'm gonna be talking about, and the surveys are attached to the back.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Sure. You know what, I'll take, okay, thank you. I'm going to get 2 copies for you guys, so when you come back, you'll have it.
Thank you.
Oh, I also have extra copies.
That's fine. Do you have one more for Megan?
So hello everyone, my name is Aisha Anjum, and I'm a high school senior at Hopkins Academy. I would like to let you all know that I am very honored to be your guest speaker, and thank you for inviting me here today. Today I'll be speaking about my science fair project. Additionally, I am requesting that all questions be held until after the presentation within the time I've been allotted to speak with you all today.
If I could just interrupt, I just emailed you their front sheet. I took a picture of it, so Pat, you should see that in your email.
Did you give it to Joanne?
What?
Sent it.
And Joanne, yeah.
Okay.
I can also send you a digital copy. I can also send you the digital copy as well.
Okay,
Oh,
sure.
So as a part of my Massachusetts, as part of the Massachusetts Regional and State Science, and Engineering Fair, my desire to understand how the immigration process affects immigrants, my project focuses on answering the question, what is Massachusetts people's understanding of immigrants' experiences? So why am I conducting this research? I am passionate about this topic due to my parents being immigrants, ultimately inspiring me to pursue this project. I would also like to become an immigration lawyer and use my project's research to raise awareness about immigrants' experiences and better advocate for their needs. So how will I conduct my research / answer my question? To answer my project's main question, I am conducting a social science project containing 2 surveys. In survey 1, I am asking immigrants age 16 and above living in Massachusetts about their experience of immigration. Examples of the questions are like, what are the biggest challenges they face? Or how does being an immigrant shape their experiences, etc. In the second survey, I am asking non-immigrants age 16 and above living in Massachusetts about what they think are the experiences of immigrants living in Massachusetts. Examples of those questions would be like, what do they think the biggest challenges of immigrants and what they face, or how do they think being an immigrant shapes their experiences, etc. So these 2 surveys are stapled to the back of your handout if you would like to look at them. So I started collecting responses on February 5th, and the survey's current end date is February 21st, but I could extend that a bit because my regional science fair is on March 7th. So I have some time to get my trifold ready and all my analysis and research done. Once the survey has ended, I will compare the responses of what immigrants report are their actual experiences, and what non-immigrants perceive / think those experiences are. From there, I will use this data to show any discrepancies in the lived realities of immigrants versus other people's perceptions of how of those experiences. Finally, I will use this data to call for greater dialogue, understanding and inclusiveness of immigrants in our community. So why did I contact your organization? I contacted your organization because of the wonderful work you do for Hadley and others. I was hoping to kindly ask your organization if you may be able to help spread the word about the survey in any way, shape, or form. So some extra information on my data collection is that the surveys individually will take around 20 minutes to complete, and all survey responses will be entirely anonymous. No identifiable names or identifiable information will be recorded. Participation is completely voluntary, and participants can skip any question that they may not choose to answer. So no questions are required. Participants also can terminate their participation at any time of the survey by just stopping the survey before submission. If their survey has been submitted and they decide to withdraw the survey, they can email me and I can delete their response and it will not be used in the project. I would also like to let you know that because this project is part of the Massachusetts Science and Engineering Fair, a consent form is required. So I have emailed you earlier today both surveys and the consent form for those who wish to participate. Some final thoughts about this presentation is that this project has been reviewed and approved by the Massachusetts Science and Engineering Fair Team, or MSET for short. And I've also been assisted in this project by a woman named Freya Proudman, who is an MSEF alumni and a PhD student currently studying at Wales, who has been so kind in mentoring me and pursuing this project. I would also be grateful if you could possibly send the survey or any information to anyone you might know or be interested in participating. Any questions?
That was an excellent display. Thank you, Aisha. You're very your voice is very inviting.
Thank
People
you.
can listen to you talk. You have a very clear, words, so I think this is wonderful what you're doing. I think this is something Hadley needs. We do have immigrants here and no one has ever, I believe, no one has ever asked them how they feel. You know, you have to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're okay, but I mean, coming from a different country, not speaking the language and having to go to a place where everyone else talks one language and you don't understand it can be a little bad, and you can feel very withdrawn. You may not want to learn because you can't understand it. So I believe this is a very good survey, and maybe, as you stated, maybe some people may not want to answer all of the questions, which is good that they can skip it as well and still submit it. My question is, would you be able to allow me to print off copies of these so I can possibly distribute them on other places?
Absolutely, I would love that.
Now, as far as the printed copy, I can email you where I would place them, and maybe on a Friday, because what I'll do is I'll make 2 boxes. I'll print them, 1 in each box, and then I will have you possibly come in on a Friday after school and just gather them together. Is that okay? The printed copies.
Which Friday would that be?
Every Friday. Well, you said this is ending on the 21st.
I could extend it a little longer
That's
because
so-
March 7th.
Right, so whatever the last day, if you wanted to wait until the final day to pick them up, you can do that as well. So I will do this tomorrow, and you can wait until the last day of your extended date, and you can pick them all up at the same time. And I'll email you the places where I'm going to put them.
Okay.
Yes, so tomorrow's the 21st, so
Mhm.
maybe the 28th.
No, she said, what date did you say? The 7th?
Well, I was trying to leave her some time to gather the data. I don't know if you.
Well, she said the 7th, I believe.
Is when-
March 7th is the regional science fair, so before that, I would need to have all the survey responses
Mhm.
finalized, so I could take the survey responses and analyze any discrepancies or any sort of connection between the responses.
Right, so let me
And
just
she's
see
gonna-
what the date is.
She's gonna do a
Here,
trifold.
one moment.
Yeah. This sounds great. I'm very excited. It'll be interesting to see what kind of a gap you get between reality and expectations.
Definitely.
Yeah, and do you have a goal? Do you have how many surveys you hope to get?
So I currently have, for immigrants, I have 6. And I understand that some immigrants may not want to answer, especially during this time, this transition. Due to the election, so I'm just limited. My goal is to be like 10 responses, so possibly 4 more people. If not, that's completely fine, and I can analyze from there. So far, for the non-immigrants, I have 12 surveys, and most of them are from my school. So, and they were pretty easy to get. And they just ask, what do you think? It's kind of like the immigrant survey, but like, what do you think? Like, if I asked an immigrant, what are your hardest challenges in Massachusetts? I would be asking the non-immigrants, what do you think are the hardest challenges they face in Massachusetts?
Right,
So it's not going in, deeply into their personal life, so more asking of the immigrants' life, and I'm aiming for 20 responses possibly for non-immigrants, and if I have 20 or 10, somewhere around there, then I can take that and properly analyze, because I know how vast so many people's opinions are and views are, and that's why I know, like, one person told me that I should probably do a multiple choice to make it easier, but the thing about multiple choice is that you're limiting and restricting the ability of one to express their journey of immigration, because everyone's immigration journey is different. For example, my father has a different immigration journey. I know my teacher has a different immigration journey. Everybody has a different immigration journey. So I need to give them that opportunity to explain that.
And multiple choice can be unemotional at times. You can't really, a person can just say, okay, A, B, C, or D, but when you really have to answer a question from your own opinion and your own emotional status, then it actually means more. It gives you the option to take the time to read the question and answer the question instead of just checking off different boxes. Now, once you do receive your data and you analyze it and you compose it, will you be able to give us any of your results and keep us informed on what you come up with?
I will email the MSF on that
Okay.
and see if I can keep the information, because I did, in my forms, when I filled them out, I did write a description of how possibly I could use this information to inform others and for other sort of research like in this organization. So I can forward an email to them asking them about possibly sharing any information. And since the survey is anonymous, there wouldn't be any identifiable information. So
That's why I was asking, because you're not pointing people out. It's just a survey. It's just data that
Yeah.
you're going to compile.
One question I've got, a couple of years ago, I was part of a group that supported an Afghan family that came here under the Biden administration, and they spent their first 3 years here, and now part of the family has moved to Albany, and that's the part with the teenage kids. They're the ones that have learned English better. So I was thinking I could text your links to them and they could talk to their family who's still, and even though they're in Albany now, they spent their first 3 years in the Pioneer Valley. So that should qualify.
I would think so.
Even if they're not living here right now, they could share their experience from their first couple of years.
I will check in on that, because I did get a response from my mentor Freya, who is actually an immigrant. She's originally born in Wales, and I got a response from her, and she's currently in Wales right now, but she resided in Massachusetts. So I will ask Freya about that and see. I think that it's acceptable, but I want to check in with my mentor.
Yeah, just you can just say, can we get feedback from past residents, or do they have to be current residents? This
Yeah.
way, we'll know who, because we do have quite a few immigrants here. As you said, your parents, there are parents or grandparents right now, and they're immigrants. So I'm quite sure the grandchildren may go to Hopkins, they may work here, and they may have seen what their parents and grandparents went through as an immigrant, I mean, as a person of color. Sometimes I felt like an immigrant, because I wasn't the same color. And you go to a store and you're treated different. You're treated wrong because of your status, your color, your gender, whatever it may be. So people think immigration is solely you came here from a different country. It is primarily that. However, your accent can make an immigrant to most people, your color. So I think that I would really like to see what the results would be. I really would. I'm very interested in this.
Is it, will you be able to share the results with us, or will it be published anywhere?
No, that's why she said she has to ask.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, she has to find out. And if not, that's fine.
Yeah,
I'm
that's fine.
still very proud of you. I'm so glad you're doing this, and I'm quite sure you do need courage to take this on. This is not something that you can do lightly. So you do have to have courage, and it's wonderful to hear that you want to become a lawyer and an immigration lawyer. Starting out young, this shows that you are dedicated to helping people.
Thank you. I definitely think it's very important for everyone to be happy in this country, for everyone to have the right to speak up, and especially like in the survey, I wanted to give that opportunity for them to express themselves, because I know that many immigrants or generally people are stereotyped and they're limited down to this one sentence or one definition, even one word. So I think it's very important that everybody has the right to express themselves and their opinions and just where they came from, and rather than being discriminated based on some sort of or where they're from, their color of their skin. That's just, to me, that seems unacceptable. And I feel like we are all people and that we all can work together to make
That's
the
really.
world a better place, you know?
Pat, do you have any questions? No?
No
I can't hear you.
questions.
Oh, okay.
No, sorry, I was muted. No questions, just support for the project, which I think is really important and very well structured. So thank you for sharing and coming to our meeting tonight.
Well, thank you.
Joanne?
It's an honor to be here.
Yeah. I think this survey project is terrific. I personally are good friends with 3 immigrants, and they're all in their 70s and 80s. I don't see them able to fill out an online survey, but if I were to have copies of the paper one, they might be able to fill it out, or I might have to do it for them. English is their 3rd language, and it's their weakest. Even though they've been here for a while, even some of the words, like the word misconception, I'm not certain that that would be clear to them. I am away until the 23rd. I see them on the 25th. And if you need them back by, say, the 28th, it might be tight. But I really think this is great, and I would love to see my friends able to participate. And as far as the other survey, I am not an immigrant, but are you inviting us, a membership of the DEI in Hadley, to fill out the non-immigrant one? Those of us I'm American, I'm born here. Would you like us to fill it out?
I mean, if you would want to, completely voluntary. If you wish to participate, then you can fill out the survey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Joanne, is there any way that your neighbors can have someone go over the questions with them?
Like their kids.
I'll
Kids?
find that. So their kids are, they are adults. 2 of them live in Hadley, the other lives in Connecticut. I mean, this is something I can, if I have time, I'm going to be seeing them on Tuesday, but it's for a completely different meeting. So I don't know if I will be able to slip this in.
Or you
But
could,
I could,
you could
go ahead.
you could forward the email to their kids and say, would you be interested in asking your parents these questions?
I could. I have 2 of them. I have their email.
Because
It can't
there is-
hurt. Yeah.
Exactly.
There's an email that has the links to those, so then you wouldn't have to get them paper copies. Just an idea.
Yeah, I'm just trying, and knowing them and that English is not their first language, and then asking their kids are full-time working with grandchildren. You know, I'm trying to think of the easiest way to make it work, but I'm going to ponder all of those options. But I do believe I've seen the survey. I could print out the one that's online, so I could get a copy that way, if that's okay. I just don't know how to get it back to you if I do get them to fill it out.
Well, as I stated earlier, I'm going to have a place where Aisha's going to be able to pick them up. So if
Right.
you bring them to that destination and just include it with that, she can pick them up there.
Perfect. That's great. I think
Yeah.
this is excellent. I love that you reached out to us.
Yeah.
Thank you. Also, no pressure on the surveys. If you don't have time to give them the surveys, that's completely fine. I'll be okay. And with the responses, I can definitely analyze. So if you would like to, and if you have the time, then that would be very nice. But if there is no time, then that's completely fine.
So Aisha, did you want to go over your surveys? Did you want to read any portion of them to the public? Or did you just want to wait and just let someone gather them together themselves?
And the questions are fairly parallel between the immigrant and the non-immigrant. Yeah,
Yes.
so you can compare them, right?
Definitely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if you would like, I could discuss the questions.
If you want to, and I think the reason why I'm asking is anyone who would watch this, they can have a better understanding of what the questions mean. So if
Okay.
someone like Joanne's friends, you know, someone my age, maybe they may be watching this and they're from Hadley and they're interested, But just looking at it online, they may not understand, but with an explanation, now they can feel a little more secure with themselves in answering the questions on their own.
Definitely,
All right.
that's a very good point. Thank you for telling me that.
So the only ones we would need to go over the immigrant ones, the immigrant questions.
So starting off with question one, I did ask, since this is a Massachusetts Science Fair approved project, they must have a consent form, so I do have a place. The first question is if you put consent to participating in the study, then please download the consent form here, where you would basically the part that is underlined in that question, you would click on that underlined portion, and that would bring you to the PDF of the consent form. Now, this consent form has more information on the project, any sort of risks, anything like that, or I even explained that it's anonymous. You need a signature, and I know some people, I know in my school and others struggle with an online signature, so I know you could definitely print it out. And you don't have to, I know people don't want to go to the step to scan it, and that's completely fine. You could take a picture of it and send it to me, or I could physically take it depending on where they are at and where I would collect them, like the boxes you have.
So as far as the consent form, how would you be able to verify that if you do need an electronic signature, or
And
this is paper form, how are we going to be able to get the consent for that?
you could print out the form and then you could just sign it on paper.
So print out the consent form and add it to the surveys, and they
Yeah.
can just do the consent form and it'd still be accepted.
They can just consent form as long as it gets to me,
Yes.
regardless if it was on paper, if it was taken a picture of, because it's one-sided, you can
Yes.
take a picture, you don't have to scan it. Or if you really wanted to, you can send it to me via email, because that's why I've also attached to the top of my email
Oh.
and my mentor's email. So if they were to send a picture with their iPhone or some sort of device or scan it, they could send it to me direct. They could send it to me directly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure that since it is paper copies and it's going to be quite a few I'm going to distribute, that they can sign that paper. But I don't know if they're going to want to sign their name. Because it's
Then
supposed
they-
to be anonymous.
That's also something I had to explain, that I need to get their direct consent in order for their response. That's why a lot of people have been hesitant because of the consent form. So that's completely fine. But in order for me to present this project or have it submitted into the fair or just for my assignment, I need to have the consent form so I can verify that they wanted to and they gave permission for me to use these results. I don't know directly who the person is. I just know a list of people who signed the consent form, so I do not know whose responses are whose, and they'll be mixed up. So I don't know which responses came from which person. And that's why I mentioned the purpose of the project, to compare the responses rather than targeting anybody, and that's why I need to answer. I need to ask the Science Fair Committee if I have permission to send any results out or any research out after analyzing.
How about you, can you reach out to Freya and ask her how or what information you would need for the paper form, for the consent? Because if it's anonymous, I don't know if people are going to want to sign it.
That's what I was thinking, some people didn't sign the consent form and they
Right.
sent me the survey and I had to contact them.
Right.
That, hey, this is required. If you would like me to delete your response, I can do that. Because of this consent form is required, but if you are willing to, then it would be required for me to use the responses in the project. So the consent form is required. I actually did email the Science Fair Committee on, hey, I know some people would want to sign the consent form and some people haven't, and is it required? And they said, yes, the signature is required. So that is why, especially when that's why a lot of the questions are not required. If you don't want to do specific questions, that's why everything is completely optional. If you don't want your response to be submitted to the project anymore, then you don't have to, and you can email me or my mentor, and I can delete them.
I think basically when you say thank you for your consideration and participation is entirely voluntarily, and you're not required to answer any questions that you feeling comfortable with. I think that lets people know, hey, you can fill out what you want and then just sign it. It's not something that we're asking for you to fill out every question and give us an explanation and so forth. So I think with this top cover page explaining, hey, it's okay if, you know, you don't want to answer, it lets people feel a little bit more comfortable with, okay, I'll sign it because I don't have to answer all the questions if I don't want to. So maybe that, I think this should, we'll see how this goes,
Yeah,
the cover page. And then this way, if we do not, after a few days, if I do not see anyone's filled it out, I'll give you an email and you can kind of figure something else out if you can.
definitely. I know that me and Freya have been we have been working together for a couple weeks, and I know that my first prototype of this survey, I was like, all the questions are required, you need to put a good explanation. And she went to talk to me, she was like, well, some people might not want to answer these questions, some people are not comfortable, and then I learned over time that, hey, that some people won't be comfortable, and they want the space to, they need the space to express what they want to express, and if they don't want to say anything, they shouldn't be required to say it.
Everyone wants an option to choose. And that's what makes you feel a little bit comfortable.
Definitely. I do have a question though, if you were to print the surveys, and if you were to put them in boxes, where would the consent forms go? Because,
On top of each page, I would attach it. So what I would do is I would take your survey, staple it together, and everything would be on the top page, and then the survey would be underneath. So this way, when they have the survey, they can read everything. They'll have your email, they'll have Freya's email, and they'll have the opportunity, as it states, to answer whatever questions they would like.
I'm just a little worried about the consent form though, because,
Well, that's gonna be attached with it.
okay,
Yeah, no, that's going to be attached on this page. So I'm going to print out the consent form,
okay,
and it's everything. This is the top page. I'll put the consent form in the back, and then.
In the back,
attach-
so it's not exposed on.
that's what I was worried about, because
Yeah.
people's
Yeah.
signatures, they use them for important documents.
Right, and then I will just go ahead and have everything set for you, and I'll let you know where it's going to be.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
I will also contact Freya on this and see what her thoughts are on with the boxes and distributing them, because I'm not fully experienced in all the science fair rules, but she knows a lot more about science fair. She's actually she currently is doing a PhD in social science, so she would know the restrictions and acceptances of what kind of things are allowed. I think it'd be permissible, but I will ask her just in case, because I want to make sure that nothing is like leaking out. I know that's what I'm worried about, somebody, for example, taking the box or exposing the responses online or taking a picture of the responses
Right.
online. That's what I'm worried
The
about.
security of it.
It would
That's
have
why
to
it's
be
on there.
somewhere
So-
like at the front desk here,
Right,
where it's being supervised.
Right, so I wouldn't put it someplace where it's just exposed. I would make sure that, let's say I did it at the library, I would have it at the front desk where only one person can take one survey. You can't walk up there and take 5 and 6, 3, 4, 5 surveys.
Or there could be a sign that said, ask the
Right,
librarian for it, and
Right.
they could keep them behind the desk so that they collect them behind the desk
and
too.
also, if you wanted me to wait before you speak to Freya, I'll wait to put these out. And you speak to Freya and ask her if that's okay to put out the paper copies.
Thank
This
you.
way you'll feel a little bit more comfortable.
Definitely. I just want to make sure that people's identity is safe, especially
course.
because they have to put their names on it,
Yes.
and I just want to make sure that that I'm conserving the information, that I'm not exposing anything I'm not supposed to expose, or just their comfort is especially important, especially when they've given their permission to go into this project and work with me on this project technically as they're filling out the survey and allowing me to use information. I just want to make sure that they're being safe, especially immigrants. Like I know that I actually went to a presentation, I watched a presentation live for UMass, and I know that definitely nowadays immigrants need to be careful of, are they documented, are they undocumented? That's why that the signature is so important to me, and the forms being online, because I'm just want to be cautious about where they're going, because for me, I have them in a drive which is secured so that no one can go in and like find them, because it's only accessible to me. So that it's not leaking out, I need to, because obviously we need to be very careful
Right.
of documented, undocumented. I know some people are undocumented.
Right.
and might want to, but they're more afraid.
Afraid to do
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Well, do you do that? You speak with Freya, and you have my email, and we can all three correspond with each other.
Mhm.
And again, just know, well, we can speak about the security. I would make sure that they are secure, even if I have to have, watch someone fill it out and take it myself, if that, whatever, we can discuss that.
I will
So
definitely
you-
attach
yeah.
it to the email.
I just want this to reach as many people as possible.
And I thank you,
Yeah.
I thank you for
I
that.
want people to see what you're doing.
I thank you for that. That's very generous of you.
Well, you're doing a great thing here, and I'm very proud of you, as I say, you're headed on the right path, which is awesome, as you guys would say.
I thank you for all of your feedback. It's very generous and gives me hope for this project.
Sure. You guys ready to go over did you want to go over the questions, or you think that's not something you want to do, or you want to go over a few of them?
I could go over, since we're only going over one of the surveys, I could technically go over all of them if you wanted, because some of them are short, some of them, I believe that they would be, pretty easy to understand. Like, for example, for question 2 of the survey, please confirm that you meet the criteria of participation. So actually, one of the criteria is currently living in Massachusetts, or is like technically like living there, but say they're on vacation, they would technically still live, like their permanent residing places in Massachusetts. So that is one of the requirements. I know another requirement is over age 16, and that is just because I think over age 16 or at 16, people understand. I think it's easier for the adolescent to understand the gravity of immigration, or just like the details better. But I also want to discuss for people under the age of 18, they would need their parent to sign as well. Just because they are a minor, so we would need their adult or parent or guardian's consent. They would need to be born in another country, not in the United States, and they would have to move to the United States. Currently be living in Massachusetts in order to fill the survey. So I just say, confirm that you meet the criteria, so I think that's pretty easy to understand, if you guys agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the third question is, how long have you been living in the United States? And this is when you've moved there, you could be living technically in a different state. For example, I was not born in Massachusetts, but technically I still resided in the United States, so you could take the years you've moved to the United States. It doesn't have to be exact, like 17.5 years or the exact date, but a good estimate of how long you've been living in the US would be nice. Is that all good?
That's excellent.
How long have you been living in Massachusetts? Like when you moved there, I think it's pretty easy to understand when you moved to Massachusetts, how long you've been living. What country did you come from? That is also a simple question. I believe that is easy to answer. Like, where did you come from before? I know some it's not really, I know some people might be mistaken on race perhaps. Like, I know I'm Indian, and I was born in the United States. For example, if somebody was a different race, but they were born in a different country other than the United States, it would be, which country were you residing in before? Technically.
Right.
So if you were Indian and you were born in France, came here, you would put France.
Right.
Yeah, if
Where
you
you
were
came
born.
from, not your ethnic
No,
identity.
no.
Yeah.
That's why it says, so basically, like you said, if someone is, let's say, they're Polish, but they lived in India, they have to say India.
Right. I think that's clear.
Yes. I agree.
Thank you. I actually, I did not think of that before, so thank you for bringing that up to explain the question.
Right.
So why did you move to the United States? This is an open response question because there are several reasons why anyone can move to the United States. For example, for a job, I know that is one of the most common and easiest ways to move to the US is through a job. I know one of the hardest ways is because you need refuge. So that could be another reason you immigrate to the United States. You could also immigrate for several other reasons like marriage or family, which is also another one of the most popular or one of the easiest ways to.
Right.
Next question, which is question 7. From a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest, how satisfied have you been with your immigration process? So this is basically discussing the how you immigrate, like there's an immigration process that one has to go through in order to properly immigrate into America. And I know that some people filling out the survey might be undocumented, so there's gonna be a lot of things.
Yes.
So, though, I would describe, it doesn't have to be, like, it doesn't have to be official, because I know some immigrants have been undocumented and didn't really go through the immigration process that would have been legal. So this could be in a lot of things. This could mean, oh, I traveled on foot from here to here, or I traveled this way or I traveled that way.
Right.
Just the way you've immigrated, your process of immigrating to America.
Right.
How did you get there?
That would be physical logistics and also governmental processes, or?
Definitely. I mean, whatever way you perceive it, because I know that everybody has a different immigration experience. Some people went through a legal way, some people went through the other way, some people went through this way. So there's a lot of.
Like you said earlier too, each person has their own journey of their immigration process. So I guess everyone will read this in the way it pertains to themselves.
Definitely, and they don't even have to fill it out. If they
Right.
don't.
I think some questions on this page, if I was an immigrant, I would be nervous.
Yes, definitely. I know.
Because of what's happening now, I would definitely be nervous, but so far, the majority of the questions could still help you with your data. So
Definitely.
that's pretty good.
The next, in question 8 is please describe your experiences with the immigration process. So that would be like, for example, if I went through I know some children actually like they immigrate at 3 years old or 2 years old, and they don't remember everything. So it really depends on how you interpret the immigration process. And that can mean a lot of things, and that's why I left it open response, because of people's interpretation of
Exactly.
the question. And any data will help. Because if there's a discrepancy, like a complete contrast between non-immigrants and immigrants' responses, then I would be able to tell, like, well, for example, like one person saying, oh, economics, in Massachusetts is good, but someone else say, a non-immigrant saying it's horrible, then I would be able to tell, like, oh, there's a discrepancy here, or
Exactly.
something's being implied. I would be able to analyze from there. Is there any feedback?
No, I'm just listening.
That's good.
So question 9 is from a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being very negative and 10 being very positive. How would you rate your experiences as an immigrant in Massachusetts? So this would be talking about like your experiences in Massachusetts. How would you rate your time here? Like if you were treated very well, then for example, if I was an immigrant and I was treated very well in Massachusetts, my experiences were good. Then I would put like, I don't know, a 10 or a 9, or depending on where you're at, just how you really feel about immigrating here and how your experiences reflect on your emotions and your satisfaction with being here. Any feedback on that?
No. I think your questions are definitely to the point and they're self-explanatory, but I do appreciate you going further into explaining it. So if someone else who may be watching can have a little bit more explanation of the questions instead of reading it and not maybe understanding it fully and then skipping over it.
Thank you. The question 10 is how does being an immigrant influence your life in Massachusetts? So basically, if you were an immigrant, and you were stereotyped, for example, with some sort of immigrant stereotype, that would be like something that would be related to immigration, influence your life in Massachusetts. So basically, I know that some people have been stereotyped because their skin, like, or their accent, as you said, they would be stereotyped from that and be like, oh, you're immediately an immigrant. That would be an immigrant influence into your life.
Exactly. How you were treated.
Definitely.
Right. And are you shunned or are you embraced?
Definitely.
Because
That's
some
part of it.
people are, oh, you're different, and they're inviting, and others are like, well. Right.
Definitely. It really, that's also why it's open response for that interpretation.
Right.
Any feedback on that?
No,
I think that's.
you're doing well.
Question 11 is, what are the biggest challenges you face / have faced as an immigrant in Massachusetts? So this would be looking for, if possible, any challenges that you face because you're an immigrant. Like, for example, being stereotyped, as I said, because of your accent or your skin color, or et cetera, anything. and because you're an immigrant, that would be part of the biggest challenges if you face them.
Right.
Any feedback on that?
I think that one of the biggest challenges as well is students in school,
Oh, definitely, yeah, that
being able
is.
to understand the curriculum, how to dress, how to look, how to act. I mean, you're coming from a country where everything is totally different. And you, as a student, as a teenager, you want to fit in. And sometimes students try a little harder to fit in. And that's where the biggest challenge may be. But I think, these questions are definitely, as I
Yeah.
stated, right on point. I love your questions. So if I run into anything you're saying, I will definitely let you know. But we can continue.
Thank you. Also, I started the survey because I remember thinking about past and in elementary school, I went to an elementary school where there was immigrants almost every month. There would be one student who immigrated from some country in Africa or from Sweden or from somewhere else. And I remember that they had a hard time or they had their own process of fitting in or how they struggled because they couldn't speak English and they had to have someone else or something else help them out. So that's especially vital, and that's also a big part of why I started the survey. Question 12 is, what are some of the positives of being an immigrant in Massachusetts? So what are the good things that you have faced while being an immigrant in Massachusetts? For example, people accept you, people embrace your culture, or people admire, or some sort of positive or thing that you believe has a good outlook. And feedback.
Which reminds me of that dinner we went to at Hopkins where everyone
Oh.
brought some food and,
The Sudan,
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yes, I
Yeah.
remember.
So-
Sudanese event,
So
yeah.
I would think that would be positive because the locals are interested in what you bring.
The cultural, the
Yeah,
food,
yeah.
ethnic food, yeah.
Definitely, that could be a positive experience, because of the togetherness, like you were all together and you felt like you were being accepted. Question 13 is, do you think your race/gender or any other characteristic affects your experience as an immigrant in Massachusetts? If yes, how so? So this goes back to that question about what country are you from? And me and Freya were going through questions and I wanted to invite some sort of interpretation for, I know that some people were born in one country, but their culture or their ethnicity is from somewhere else. Like you made an example of somebody being born in France, but they were from somewhere else. So I wanted to give the space for someone to explain how their race/gender or any other characteristic of an immigrant specifically would influence their life in Massachusetts or just being an immigrant in Massachusetts.
Yes.
Any feedback on that?
Pat, Joanne, you guys have anything to say? No? Okay.
Thank you. From question 14 is from 1 to 10, 1 being totally unwelcoming or 10 being very welcoming. How welcoming would you rate Massachusetts as a place for immigrants? So, for example, this doesn't have like as I said earlier, all of these examples don't have to be the reason why. You like doesn't have to be yours explicit answer, doesn't have to be my exact same example. It's up for interpretation. So for example, I was living in Massachusetts and I'm an immigrant and I was harassed because I was an immigrant. That would be you could take that and put that as a reason to have a lower score or whatever score that would be suited for you, depending on if it was like a 7 or 2 or 3 or 4. It really depends on your experiences and how being an immigrant has shaped you and how really people accept you, people's perceptions of you. How does that affect you? Any feedback on that?
No, it's just good that you're asking specifically about Massachusetts because as you know, immigrants are going into different states. And it's good that you're focusing not just in Hadley, but as Massachusetts as a whole, because we have Boston, we have Western Mass, Eastern Mass, and there's immigrants all over. So it's good that you're focusing on the broader portion and not just Hadley.
Definitely.
There was just an article this morning in the paper about Amherst just trying to they have a committee or something, they're working on being more welcoming,
Wow.
which is interesting. And I joined 20 years ago, I joined a church in Northampton, and they prided themselves on being very welcoming. And I said,
Really?
well, actually, you have a ways to go. And they're like, what? You know, and I'm like stereotypical white male. I said, I was new, and when after service, I'd go to the coffee hour, you would all talk to your friends.
Yeah.
And I felt like the odd molecule that couldn't fit anywhere because you were all already went into your circle.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel welcoming.
No.
And they're like, oh, thank you. Yeah.
Did it change after that?
No.
Or- No. Oh.
Human nature,
Oh, man.
they want to talk to their friends.
Yeah.
But I think some people became a little more conscious about, you know, sometimes it's going outside of your comfort zone.
It
Like,
is.
I don't know who that person is. I don't know what, you know,
I'd like.
that's what welcoming is all about.
Exactly. And like you said, it's human nature, but if you're really a welcoming person or you're trying to create that environment, you do have to step outside of your comfort zone. You do have to go beyond what you're used to and extend yourself so you can find out more about different cultures, different genders, different race, different sex, everything.
It's such a
You
small
can't stay
risk.
in your box
Yeah.
because you're going to have your extended family in that box.
Mhm.
And if everyone is in that box, they're not going to know the variety that the world has to offer. And that's what's terrible about exploring.
And that risk of getting out of your comfort zone is so small compared to what you can gain, what you
Exactly.
can learn from someone.
Exactly.
Anyway, we're,
Definitely.
Yeah.
yeah,
Raising awareness is one of the main goals of the survey, and that's really what I wanted to do with this project, is to raise awareness and consciousness of, hey, I might have done this thing or said this thing. It doesn't even have to just raise awareness in general about acceptance of others or just understanding others and other people's perceptions of one another. It's just I wish for everyone to understand how to perceive others and where they're coming from. That's especially why I ask the immigration process questions, because people come from all over the place. They have so many experiences.
Exactly. And
So
to share it is
yeah.
something that someone who may not want to come out of their comfort zone may read something that someone else has presented because they went out of their comfort zone, and maybe they'll allow that other person to take a small step towards that awareness.
definitely, I know that it's good to have the opportunity to express yourself, and that's also another reason why I made the survey, because having the opportunity to express yourself gets you a little step closer out of like the box and the benefits of the world. If you open yourself, you understand how much is around you and how much you could gain and how much others could gain, how much you could work together to make the world a better place.
Yeah, my brother's always telling me, he goes out of the country every single year, and he always tells me, Crystal, the world is much bigger than that. I said, I know. He says, you need to try and, but like Mark said, when you're in your comfort zone and your box, it doesn't mean you're ignorant. It means that you're safer here.
Definitely.
So going and extending to another country, you're not sure. And the same thing goes with conversations. You're not sure about where this conversation may go if you take the initiative. So some people just stay quiet, and this survey is a voice.
Thank you. I'm just hope that's the goal, to let other people
Yeah.
know.
Exactly.
So question 17, please explain your answer to the previous question of the welcoming question from 1 to 10, 1 being totally unwelcoming, 10 being very welcoming. How welcoming would you rate Massachusetts a place for immigrants? So you would have a space there to explain why.
Okay.
You chose the number you chose and that scale. Also, and I want to give it, yes?
I was just gonna, you know, you've been asking us about feedback. The way number 15 refers back to number 14, I would personally, if you ever did this again, I would love to have one go back to number 8, where it says, what was your experience with immigration process? I would love to ask, how does that compare to what you expected? You know, when you set out on your journey to come here, what did you expect? And how does that vary from how it actually was?
That's a very good idea. I didn't think of that, how like you could expect, what did you expect versus the reality?
I mean, I've read stories about these families that leave South America and have to go all the way through the jungles and they're just, they leave their clothing, they start out, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely, so their expectation was probably very low in the process, but maybe it started with, oh, we're gonna go to this better place, the sparkling city, and
American dream.
yeah.
And the journey just
The journey
defeated that.
Just defeated that, yeah.
Yeah.
Or people who take boats, you know, like going from, you know, the islands or Haiti,
Yeah.
going from Greece, wherever the boats that don't make it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a harrowing journey, and it is something that needs to be brought to the attention of the people. You know, immigrants are humans. Just because they're coming here from a different country and just because they want a better life does not make them bad, does not make them a negative stereotype. It's just like anyone who moves from America and goes to France, or moves from America and goes to England. They want a better life. They're not happy with what they're being offered or experienced. But the word immigrant is such a bad tone to it that people automatically just shy away from it. It's so bad.
And the irony is, unless you're Native American, we all, if you look back far enough, we're all immigrants.
Exactly.
You know, so now it's, you know, there's that weird phenomenon. Once you're here, you want to shut the door and say, nobody else. No, well, that's not right.
Yeah,
But, you know, it's a weird dilemma, like how big is the space?
right.
Definitely.
Anyway,
I think if
we digress.
I think one more, if we all did a DNA test, you would see the journey that your ancestors and your forefathers took. You will all see that, like, as Mark said, once upon a time, we were all immigrants. But like you said, you get to America, you're like, yes, nobody else can come in. And that's not fair.
Make America white again.
Yeah, make America selfish again.
Mm.
I know that, I know the president and the Congress do decide every year on a number of immigrants or people with visas, they put a specific limit on the amount of people who can get visas or the amount of people who can immigrate here legally.
Right.
And I know that, that one of the reasons why illegal immigrants immigrate is because they have the chance of that, getting into that limit, because there's so many people out there desperate. There's refugees, there's people who need jobs, there's people who have family, and it's just, I know they pick and choose depending on who they
Exactly.
are. And that's where immigration lawyers come into play for illegal immigrants, or the reason why this person should immigrate, or almost like how dire their situation is.
Exactly, you know, and you'll see, I know I shouldn't talk about this, but there's a program I watch called Mo on Netflix, yes. And he came here as a child. His best friend, he's known since 8, 9 years old, and he is still not a resident, he's not a legal immigrant, he's illegal. And it shows the process he's going through to obtain his status. I mean, when you watch that program, it's sad because you never know who this person next to you is and what their journey was. And when you watch what they have to go through just to say, yes, I've been here all my life, but I just don't have a birth certificate, basically. And they say, oh, well, so what? And it's different words they use as well. Like, you can be deported, but stay in the United States. Yeah, because if you're here all your life, they can't, and let's say you're from Pakistan, they can't send you to Pakistan. So they keep you deported here, but you're allowed to work, but you can't vote. So there's a lot of things that I'm learning with this program. And when I do, because I always pause something and I research what they say, so I'll understand what's happening in a bigger version, a bigger picture. And it's like, wow, there's so many different things that they say, not out in the open. But if you do the research, it's like, you never even knew that. You never knew that. And it's terrible. So again,
Definitely.
thank you.
No problem. I know I did. I watched a video. It was about a boy and he was deported back, and they explained the history or behind that and the reasons behind it. And honestly, like, looking back at all these people and all these immigrants and just everybody, their journeys are so different, or it's just the amount of variables that come into play to say something's fair and what's not fair, because those things are contrasting and it's very broad.
Yes,
That's also one of the reasons why, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I'm curious, because it's just such a broad spectrum.
it is.
And it's limited down to these two options, fair, unfair,
Yeah,
right or wrong.
there's
Better
no,
or worse.
it's just black and white. There's no in between. It's yes or no. And, you know, a lot of people come here and they have a name. They have an identity, but I've heard from a few resources that they take that name from you and they give you a different name. And that's one of the things as well that immigrants have to face, the legal immigrants that they have to face, you know, so there's a lot that has to be corrected.
Mhm.
And there's a lot that we have to work on as a country.
There's a lot of variables that come into play, and that's why when you look into this or anything, there's so many things you have to consider when you look back and you make a justification. You really need to see why you made that justification or why you made a claim. You need to have a justification for that. In order to have a justification, you need to go back into the research. I know a lot of people don't do that research or they ignore the research, but doing research is so important to understand or just get a better picture
Exactly.
of what people are going through, what this country is going through, what the world is going through.
Right. Put yourself in their shoes so you can have a better understanding, more empathy to their situation.
Definitely.
I had this Afghan family of 9 people, and 4 of them went, you know, they were all flown out of Afghanistan because the father had supported the US military. So we were taking them out so they wouldn't be persecuted. So the Air Force flew them out. Well, the 2 older couples, I mean, the 2 young married couples ended up at a different Air Force base and were processed separately before they were all reunited. But then even the mother, the father, and their 3 kids, they apparently went through different lines. Like I imagine them in this hangar with rows and went through different lines. And so when their names were translated differently.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're all one family, but it's spelled differently or it's, you know.
Or it's just chosen to be pronounced and changed to what
Right.
Americans can understand.
Yeah.
You know? All right,
Yeah, such a process.
it really is.
Definitely. Question 16 is asking, what do you think are the common misconceptions about immigrants in Massachusetts? This gives you a space to say if there's any stereotypes or misconceptions that you've experienced or have seen anyone experience. I think there's also a similar question about this in the non-immigrant survey, where they get the opportunity to express any stereotypes or anything they've seen that is some sort of, I don't know, for example, microaggression or bias that they could find or think about and reflect that, oh, that was a bias, that was a misconception, I didn't realize that.
Right.
And I think back to even my own childhood and even in school, I didn't realize that some phrases meant what they meant. And now I look back and I observe and I look at this question. That's why open responses are such a big deal. Like when you look at the open response, like, what do I even write? And I know people are like, what do I even write? And they think back and they analyze and they justify and they make claims about, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. And they now, since they have more knowledge, they finally understand what something means, or they think about it even harder, that I didn't think this was a big deal in the past, but really it wasn't okay, or
Exactly,
you just didn't realize the meaning.
right. And that's a lot these days, people not understanding the meaning.
Definitely. I feel like many words can be expressed, but really the meaning or their connotation or what you really what's your meaning you're trying to evoke is not always captured by somebody else.
No, not at all.
Any feedback on this question or
No, you did very well.
Thank you.
That's a nice open, lets them, whatever resonates for them, they can share.
And if there's any feedback you would like to go back to on any of the questions, you could just let me know.
Right.
Question 17 is there anything else that I didn't ask that I think you think I should know about your experience as an immigrant in Massachusetts? This is also asked in the non-immigrant one about anything that I didn't ask that you want me to know. That's where you get a space to say, like, for example, you mentioned the expectation versus the reality. You could say that in the space. You could let me know, and I could possibly even use that. I don't know, in college, if I were to, or before I graduate, if I were to reevaluate or continue to evaluate, because I have time to modify my experiment, or rather my presentation for the state science fair. I'm also going to be doing that as well. So I could think and reflect about that, and I could present that to the judges. I don't care about the competition, but rather just getting the awareness. And if the feedback that anyone can provide in question 17 can be enormously like, it can be so valued, you don't even realize the meaning of your words. Because if you would like to express, it's like, for example, as you said before, the expectation versus the reality, that's a very big thing I didn't think about. And one person can only think of so many things.
Exactly. No, I think these
Yeah.
questions were excellent, and I think that the way you've asked them and portrayed them and put them down in writing, I think you did an excellent job. I really do. And one thing, don't ever worry about the competition. You have no competition. That's how you look at it. You have no competition. You're doing your thing. You're going to do the best that you can do, and that's all you can do. When you worry about someone else being better than you, then you're going to start to not focus on what you need to do. You do the best you can, and it's going to work out for you. Everyone else is no competition.
Thank you.
And I love everything, and I just want to add that 17 is great. It's like having that net to catch whatever else you missed.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like you said earlier, why you didn't do multiple choice. Because everyone's got their own personal experience, and that lets them, this all doesn't touch what really resonates for them, and they can put that there. That's great.
Yeah, very, very wonderful.
Very excited about this.
Joanne, you have anything to add?
I was just going to say, I started out thinking I knew 3 immigrants. My list now is 15.
Oh, wow.
So I'm definitely thinking I'm going to send an email to all of these people, and from me personally with this information, and hopefully some of them will
Thank
completely just remembered that I knew all these other people. This was really lovely. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have no other questions. Yeah. I'm glad you were able to come, and I'm glad I was able to come.
Yes, thank you for coming. Thank you.
I'm honored to be here with guys. So
Pat?
I just wanted to clarify that if we wanted to send the survey to someone by email, we should just copy and paste the link that you sent.
Right.
Aisha?
yeah, it's available to anyone who
Okay.
anyone who has access to the link. Anyone who is able to click on the link, anyone can respond to it. There's no restriction on whosoever it may be. Just as long as when you do send the survey, you also send the consent form, because that is required in order for me to use that data in the project.
And there's
Is
2
that a
links.
separate link? Is that a separate link
Yes.
or that? Okay, that's a separate link. Yes, thank you for
Links
clarifying
are
that. That's great.
Google Docs, right? Or is there an online survey?
The consent form is a PDF, and the forms are from Google Forms.
Okay.
But I could transfer it on Google Docs if that would make it easier for some people.
Well, one of the emails that you had a Google Doc.
That I sent to you?
I think that was the one that you sent today at 11:58.
Yes, that's right.
That says surveys and consent form, and it has immigrant survey.
Yes.
And that's a Docs Google. Oh, I see, Docs Google
Yeah.
Forms.
Right.
Ah.
Yeah, that's not.
Okay, so it's not just a Google.
No.
Yeah, because it was asking me to log into Google. I
Yeah,
see, but that's actually the form.
Right.
And so if they fill out that form, will that then reside on your Google Docs, and they don't have to send you the PDF, or
no, when
that won't capture it?
when they fill out the form and just press send, it'll automatically just go into
A different folder.
the folder, the consent form. When they fill it out and they attach it, immediately it goes to a drive I have where all the forms go. And when I go into the survey through my access, which is I'm the person, I own the survey, so I can see all the responses. So it immediately goes into that collection and that list of the responses and which questions, so it automatically goes there. You don't have to.
Okay. and Elon does not have access.
Really?
Evil Elon.
Evil you.
Oh my gosh.
You did?
No, I should.
Oh my goodness.
I just ordered a bunch of magnets,
Let me get it.
I did, car magnets that say not nice things about the guy.
And you're gonna stick them on your car?
I am.
Oh my goodness, Mark.
I don't
Better
want.
hope he doesn't see that and disconnect the car.
Yeah, I don't want people to think I
Support
bought it to support his crazy.
rhetoric.
But anyway, we digress again.
Yes, again, okay.
Yeah.
So if that's all that we have, and do you have any other questions for us, or would you like to say anything else before we end?
I was honored to be here and I didn't expect like so much feedback and so much conversation with you guys because it was really wonderful to get to know your sides of what you how you interpretation, how you interpret these questions or just these stories you're telling. It's very interesting. And that's also why I like social sciences because I know that it doesn't have as much like data or graphs or tables, and I know that it's perceived differently by, I know, for example, my science teacher or other people's science teachers, or just like I know people work in engineering or in a lab. It's because it's different. Like instead of for example, performing a lab and doing chemicals or using numbers, here you can't really use numbers. You have to take the person's voice and their feedback for interpretation, for just receiving. It's really, the human voice is really what makes a difference in social sciences compared to other sciences, because it doesn't have much numbers. You can't limit it down to
Exactly.
numbers.
Right.
It's such a big, broad scope, and that's why I had to be really careful, because originally this survey was for the whole United States. I don't know what I was thinking,
Boy.
but that was gonna be very difficult to get the responses, and also wouldn't be accurate because I would need to get a similar amount of responses from each state.
Yeah. But
And
you
that's
know what? That shows your enthusiastic nature and how you want to help, that you're
Yeah.
not limiting yourself to something small. You were trying to do it so broad. You just wanted to get out there and do it. And someone had to say, wait a minute, slow it down. We need
For
to do this
example, the
first.
judge, the reviewer had to tell me, okay, this is too big.
Yeah.
And then they didn't explicitly tell me in the email. And then they were speaking to me face to face on Zoom. They were like, okay, this is a little too big, inaccurate data. And I was like, oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
And but Freya did let me know that even just this little survey, this little feedback, even just one question being filled out contributes to the whole picture of
It
if this
does.
survey was to be sent out to the whole United States, you get a piece.
Exactly.
It's not like you're getting nothing.
Exactly. And it's for Massachusetts. Massachusetts is kind of big. So always remember that.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed your presence and your dad, and I'm glad you did come. I'm so glad to finally meet you. It seemed like an age away, waiting for you to come and provide us with your information. And you get back to me on the paper survey, so we'll know. And I just want the best for you. I really do. I wish I could follow you so I could see where you're going in life. High school, college, I want to see you make it. I want to see you make it. I do want to be able to say, you know what? I remember speaking to her when she was just a student. Look at her now.
I wish I
A
had
top
been that.
immigration lawyer.
I wish I had been as thoughtful as you are and inquisitive in high school. I think back and I don't see those bright shining memories.
It's all right. We all go through different things.
I think it depends on the demographic you grew up in.
Yeah.
And also, your culture and the people that surround you. It's all a difference. That's why this survey is a very important thing. Don't think it's not. It's going to reach a lot of people. And you said you'd had more stuff to do with. So I definitely want to be a part of that as well, if I
Thank
can
you.
help in any way.
Thank you. I'll definitely contact you. I might even continue researching on this specific. I can use a specific project. That's why I also wanted to contact them on using the information after high school.
Right.
For another project I could work on during my bachelor's degree. I could look at that and I could use it, and for a bigger picture, I could contribute to the picture.
Exactly. Just keep adding on. Like I said, there's no competition. Yeah. Just look at your path.
Just the purpose, why are you doing that?
Exactly. That's gonna get you far.
I just think this is great. I mean, it's, you know, hats off to you, because
Yes.
it's not like this was all around. I mean, your context in Hadley, what are we, 90% white bread? You know,
Yeah.
we're just pretty boring here in Hadley.
That's why this is important for Hadley,
Yeah.
because
It's
of
so
the
important.
percentage
So
of,
important.
you know, Caucasian people that live here. And I believe we do have more of more races and ethnicities here. However, because of maybe an immigration status or because of race or color, they just do not want to be put in the forefront. They feel much more comfortable just being quiet in the background. So this survey will give you an idea.
Especially in the current climate.
Yeah, exactly. Well, even more so now. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Guys, I appreciate you coming. Thank you so much.
Yes.
It was an honor to be here.
Alrighty. Well, you guys can stay or you can leave. It's up to you.
It gets,
Crystal,
So-
does Elizabeth want to say anything about the DEI club at?
Well, I want Elizabeth to stay.
Yeah, okay,
she's-
I just was, okay.
Yeah, she's staying. Yeah,
Okay,
this
I
is
just
going
wanted
to
to make
be
sure
her.
Elizabeth had time, that's all. Sorry to
Yes, this is
interrupt.
going to be her run to see if she wants to be part of the DEI. And if she does, then she just has to get sworn in the next step. So at least you get an idea of what to do here. Well,
thank you,
again,
Alicia.
thank you so much for coming. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for everything and good luck. All right. Okay, thank you. All right.
Alicia, I'm gonna offer you a virtual hug. Thank you so much. That was great.
Yeah. All right, so now I guess we can get back to our agenda. I don't know what happens to this stuff. There we go.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Enjoy, and don't forget, keep in touch.
Definitely.
Thank you. I don't know what I just did here, but now. Oh, here we go.
Put the red 10 on the black jack.
Shut up. Work is crazy. I'm just looking for.
I bring a little humor to the,
I love it though. It's something that you need some type of light. Okay, so now the only thing we have, new business B. Candida Brooks will be our guest for March. So she will come to us on March 20th. She is the founder of the Village Enrichment. This is something that Joanne has been a part of for quite a while. And she developed the Race, Diversity, and Intersectionality RDI Reflective Process Model. So she's going to discuss that when she comes in March. And is she coming in person, Joanne, or is it Zoom?
She will attend on Zoom. She is located in Brooklyn.
Yeah, because she lives in New York, right?
Right,
Oh.
correct.
All right, so that's pretty good. I'm looking forward to, we did go on what was it, 4-way call or Zoom session with her and you in this last summer? Was it last summer? Yeah, last
It
summer.
was, yeah.
And I'm interested in what she's going to discuss now. Is she coming by herself or is her son going to accompany her or?
I just invited her. I think that would be simpler. So
Well,
I could,
no, she's going to have him come to talk, you know, as well.
I don't know. I have, in my experience, she facilitates these sessions, and that time when you met Candida Brooks Harrison, I believe the other two there were just observing, because she is training others to do this work, but she is the creator.
Wasn't one of the people her son? I
That
thought
is
you said-
correct. Yes.
Be part of the group though, correct?
The group that I go to, the group that she facilitates, he has never, Yannick comes to that, but her son does not.
Okay, okay.
But
Well,
he's learning this reflective process. That's my understanding.
Okay, that's interesting.
But
Now-
I specifically invited her.
Okay,
I suppose it's possible, since I'll share with her the link, if she has anyone from her group come, they might come to witness.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm looking forward to that. How about you,
Yeah.
Mark?
I am.
And
Great.
Pat? Good. Okay, well, I'm looking forward to having her here next month and
Mhm.
see what she discusses and talks about. And another thing I would like to have a discussion on is Black History Month. And I would like to know if there's anyone that would like to have a reflection on Black History Month. Maybe there's someone you know of history, or maybe you know someone who's African American who has a business. Anything to reflect on the positiveness of where African Americans have come from since the beginning of time. And it's on silence. We are muted.
Somewhat tangential to that.
Mhm.
Tomorrow, I'm hosting what was it, jazz?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
The Jazz Festival tomorrow at the Senior Center. I will be attending. Also, there's something, that was last night. I didn't get a chance. It was at the Amherst Theater.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I wanted to go, but
Mm.
I didn't actually get a chance to go. But I did do something, for the public. I created a montage of different African Americans from history, inventors and scientists. And I placed them in the library. So when you go to the library, you'll see the books and the explanation or the stories of these people who have contributed to history. Which is wonderful, because when you know, a lot of people, especially in some people's minds, when they think of African American people, they only think of slavery. They only think that African American people are lazy, illiterate, broke, poor, alcoholics, drug addicts, criminals, which is not true. And I think enlightening people on what African Americans have done historically for this country is something that should be highlighted instead of taken away from. So yes, we get a month to explore that, and I wish more people did that, so that the other 11 months, when they want to bring up slavery and everything that's happened, maybe it's not so overshadowed that 1 month. But maybe if you can stop by the library and you can see what I've put out and take a look at the books. I would also like to do something as well for different cultures and different race as well.
Did we just hear Pat?
Yep.
I was just going to respond to your request with regard to businesses, Black-owned businesses, and I just
Yes.
want to recognize the Carefree Cakery, which is in the Mill District in
Carefree,
Amherst.
what is it?
Carefree Cakery.
Okay.
A young Black woman owns this bakery, and I've bought cakes. She makes delicious gluten-free cakes too.
Wow.
Small, tiny cupcakes. I think I bought some of those in the past for one of the films that we showed at the Senior Center. Lovely young woman whose dream was to open her own bakery, and she has done that. So I highly recommend that you check out the Carefree Cakery.
I am on her website now, and wow, look at the tooth. She has a cake that's a tooth. That is so wonderful. My grandson would love this. And there's a poop cake.
Uh-oh. Your grandson would love that.
No, you would love it. But yeah, this is wonderful. I love it. Thank you, Pat. This is excellent. I appreciate that. Look at this. I am so happy for her, because you know what? Like they say, if you do what you love, you never work. And look at this.
Mm.
It's gorgeous. Isn't it? It's wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I will spread the word and let people know about this bakery and gluten-free as well. So that's one big thing that a lot of people are shying away from is gluten. So to
You
have
to
a,
order in advance. She doesn't always have them in stock, but you can call and she'll tell you if she has any. And when you come, I've always been able to get what I wanted, so.
I have to try this out tomorrow. I'm going to go.
And they
Well,
have
then-
she sells little tiny cupcakes for, maybe a little tiny grandson,
Yeah, that's why I said I have to try this. I have to go there. I can't bring him. She even has a soup. Oh, no, that's a plate. I can't bring him because he'll want everything.
Yeah,
He will want everything,
Maybe
but this is wonderful. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you. And this is an example of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Bring light and the positive things on what we've accomplished and what we're still trying to accomplish,
we're talking about getting out of your comfort zone, get out of your rut. This is where I go every week. Get out and just explore, and you never know what you'll find.
Exactly. Or talk to someone you're not used to talking to.
Mhm.
You never know what that conversation will be about. You never know where it will take you. Saying a simple hello to someone that you're not normally comfortable with speaking to just may make you have a great day.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, as far as everything else goes, you just, I think we've spoken on everything that we wanted to talk about.
Juneteenth, we talking about?
And now we have to discuss the next date, which is Juneteenth. And it's a holiday. So the next date that would be available after Juneteenth is, did we want to still possibly do it in June, or did we want to move it to July? So the next date will not be until the 26th. So if we skip that month and we pick up in July, we can do that, or.
July and August, you tend to get a lot of people on vacation.
Right.
So I would say we could either do it on the second Thursday or not do a Thursday.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I would say we can just skip over June because we have to actually, do a whole bunch of other stuff.
Oh, I was actually saying maybe we should make it work in June because July and August tend to get we may not get a lot of
Oh, I see what you're
attendance.
saying. We may not even be
People
able
are
to
away,
see in
but
July.
We might not
August.
get everyone at the table.
You're right.
So, June is busy time with end of school and graduations
Exactly.
but,
So let me just see one moment.
I-
1, 2, 3 to 15.
We don't know any of this.
I mean, we can do it June 12th because in May, we still have, after the 15th, we still have the 22nd, 29th. And then if we did it on the 12th, it still gives us 4 weeks
4
until the
weeks.
next meeting.
I like that.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that works for you?
I just wanted to say that the last time we moved our meeting to the second week, we ran
Oh.
into that the Board of Health was still using our link, and I see that they know.
Or we might end up in a different meeting room or something.
Yeah.
Maybe
Maybe.
Nick, I think I see Nick there. Is Nick in the room?
Howdy.
Is that a problem?
But I
Nick?
think that date is a good one otherwise.
Do we, if another group wants to have a meeting, do we have more than one link now or no?
That's a good, I'm sure we can make it work one way or another. I think that time there was actually 3 meetings
Right.
that were slightly overlapping with each other. So I think there are 2 accounts as long as there's not 3 meetings.
Yeah. I would propose that we tentatively plan on the 20th.
Yes.
And I'm sorry,
No.
The 12th. the 12th. And if there is a conflict, maybe we could move it up to like 5 instead of at 7 or 5:30 or something.
Yeah.
With the Grateful Dead sound guy, or the animal that.
Looking
Okay.
for
Can I make
calendar.
a motion that we propose that our June CDI meeting is the 12th of June at
Yes.
7 PM.
Okay, I would second that. Do we need to vote on it, or we can just,
I think we should vote on it, but if we vote on it now, and if anything changes, then we can just,
Yeah.
have to come up with a different date.
Yeah.
So right now, it would be June 12th. I tried to see if they have anything going that far out, but yeah, no, I didn't know if they did or not. They have May, but I just checking to see if they have, so they don't have anything for June, of course, that's not
yeah, I can
true.
reach out, I could reach out to, you know, Jennifer or.
Yeah.
And see if she says, oh, yeah, every second Thursday we have this,
Right,
and, just try to plan that out ahead, because
yeah, I can
that's
also
4
reach
months
out,
away, yeah.
yeah, I can also reach out to Alex and see if there would be any conflicts of us having our meet, or Nick,
Okay,
I'm sorry, Nick, we can find
You know
out.
more than I do, I'm not around here a lot.
But anyway, that would be what we'll work on for right now, June 12th at 7 PM. And if we change, any changes or anything, we'll get back to each other. Still have a couple of months to go from now.
good.
Is everyone okay with that? Pat? Excuse me, Joanne?
All opposed,
Joanne,
Joanne dipped out and then joined back and then dipped out again. I'm not sure if it's connection related.
yeah, I can't see
yeah,
her.
looks like she's not up on the top of them.
Yeah, so we want to
We
wait
have a
till.
quorum anyway, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right,
So
Well,
vote
I'm gonna
yay.
say, yes. Mark, the second?
I seconded,
Okay. Okay, so Pat, and then Mark second.
I,
Okay,
Aye. Okay,
any closing reflections?
wow, I mean, I was interested to see what students had to bring, but I was blown away.
Mhm,
It was really uplifting to,
yeah,
you know,
I love
we can
it.
be, us old farts can get kind of stagnant, and that was really
Enlightening, right?
invigorating,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I would like to ask our guest, Elizabeth, how did you feel today? Are you comfortable?
Yeah, I've had a really good time today with this meeting. I love the idea of bringing in speakers who are, actively sort of practicing DEI and inclusive policies to sort of bring in that active part of it. And I think that's a really smart thing to do. And I would love to be here for the next meeting and going forward.
Yeah,
All righty, we have a new member,
it's fabulous.
Pat. Did you hear? We have a new member.
well, I heard Elizabeth say she'd come to our next meeting. Is that,
Yeah, no pressure,
yeah, no pressure, Elizabeth. We're happy to have you though.
yes,
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad she's willing to join and we're happy.
we're encouraged that you'll come back for a second sample.
And if not, if you do come back the second time, maybe you'll be sworn in by then. Maybe, never
Or
know.
you can swear in after that,
Well, yeah, but,
no pressure.
okay, well, would we like to adjourn the meeting?
I would
What-
make a motion to
Did you have a
adjourn.
motion?
It's really minor, but can I just ask that my email be included on your correspondence for like meetings and
Sure.
organizing and all of that?
Yeah,
Right,
Yeah, just so I can have one.
so we'll put you in the loop, yeah. We have that, right? You've
I
got,
have it, yeah,
okay, good.
okay. All right. Anyone would like to make a motion?
I would move that we adjourn this wonderful meeting.
And Pat,
Second,
okay, and I call the meeting at 8:45 PM.
That's over 100 minutes, isn't it?
Wow, oh boy, Mark.
Oh, who's counting?
Yeah, well, thank you, Pat.
All in favor,
Thank
say
you.
aye,
I'll
aye,
see you when you
Aye.
come. All in favor, aye, sorry.
aye.
See you on the next meeting.
We are
nice to
adjourned.
meet
All right.
you, Elizabeth. Bye.